What if I told you that a single drop of Bengali blood contains genetic whispers from the heart of Africa? The windswept steppes of Central Asia, the ancient ports of Arabia, and the first farmers who ever planted rice in India? Impossible? Not in Bengal. Here in the land of rivers and revolutions, poetry and partition, 100 million people carry within their cells. It's the most complex genetic symphony on earth. From the misty tea gardens to the crowded streets of Dhaka, from the intellectual ferment of Calcutta to the ancient ports of Chittagong. This is a people whose very DNA tells a story that will challenge everything you think you know about ancestry, identity, and human migration. But here's the twist that will shock you. The greatest divide in Bengal is unto what you think. While religion, politics, and borders separate families, DNA reveals a startling secret that unites them all. This is the story of how 200 million people became living libraries of human history. This is the story of Bengali DNA. Every human story begins in Africa. But not every human story becomes as complex as Bengal's. 70,000 years ago, a small band of our ancestors walked out of the cradles of humanity, carrying with them the genetic seeds of every person alive today. Some headed north to Europe. Others pushed east across Arabia. But a brave few kept walking across deserts and mountains until they reached the Indian subcontinent. Among their descendants were the people who would become the genetic foundation of Bengal. Let me introduce you to someone who lived this story. Her name was Shahamali. She lived 40,000 years ago, somewhere along what we now call the Ganges-Brahmaputra Delta. A hunter-gatherer, mother to 3 children, keeper of ancient songs we'll never hear again. Shahamali would have known the rhythm of monsoons, the migration patterns of wild rice, the secret paths through dense forests. She painted her body with ochre, told stories by firelight, and carried within her cells a genetic signature that scientists call ancestral South Indian. Shahamali's mitochondrial DNA, passed from mother to daughter in an unbroken chain, flows through Bengali women today. When modern Bangladeshi women laugh, when West Bengali mothers sing lullabies, they carry molecular echoes of Shahamali's breath. But Shahamali wasn't alone. By her time, Bengal was already becoming a meeting place. The Austroasiatic speakers had arrived, the ancestors of today's Munda tribes, carrying with them the knowledge of rice cultivation and metalworking. These weren't random wanderers. Archaeological evidence shows sophisticated settlements, trade networks stretching across South Asia. Something remarkable, a willingness to absorb newcomers rather than fight them. Dr. Kumaraswamy Thangaraj, leading geneticist at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology in Hyderabad, puts it this way: Bengal's genetic foundation was laid not by conquest, but by conversation. But if Bengal's story ended here, it would be interesting, but not unique. What happened next would make Bengali DNA unlike anything else on Earth. As we stand today, our bodies are vessels of history. Every inch of us is a testament to the journeys our ancestors took thousands of years ago. And nowhere is this more evident than in the vibrant tapestry of Bengal. Long before Sanskrit prayers echoed across the Gangetic plain, before the first Buddhist monks walked Bengal's paths, another group of people had already made this land their home. They spoke languages that linguists call Austro-Asiatic, tongues related to Vietnamese, Khmer, and dozens of tribal languages across Southeast Asia. These weren't primitive hunter-gatherers. They were sophisticated farmers who gave the world rice cultivation, skilled metallurgists who worked copper and iron, traders who connected India to Southeast Asia, millennia before the famous spice routes. Meet Subhash, a hypothetical Austroasiatic speaker from 5,000 years ago. He would have lived in a bamboo house raised on stilts, cultivated dozens of varieties of rice, and spoken a language whose echoes survive today in the Santali and Mundari tongues of eastern India. Subhash's genetic signature, what scientists call Austroasiatic ancestry, is still detectable in modern Bengal. It's strongest in tribal populations, but it whispers through the mainstream Bengali gene pool as well. Dr. Gyaneshwar Shabi of Banaras Hindu University has spent years tracking these ancient genetic trails. His research reveals that certain mitochondrial DNA lineages found in Bengal trace directly back to these early Austroasiatic populations. When we analyze the maternal lineages of Bengali women, Dr. Chabi explains, we find genetic stories that predate written history. Some of these lineages connect Bengal not just to the rest of India, but to Vietnam, Cambodia, and the islands of Southeast Asia. But here's where it gets fascinating. Unlike in other parts of India, where later migrations largely replaced earlier populations, in Bengal, these Austroasiatic genes persisted. They adapted, they mixed, they survived. Why? The answer lies in Bengal's geography. The endless rivers, the protective mountains, the annual floods that made conquest difficult but trade possible. All of this created a unique environment where genetic mixing flourished. This pattern, absorption rather than replacement, would define Bengali genetics for millennia to come. Around 1500 BCE, the genetic landscape of Bengal was about to change forever. From the northwest, through the mountain passes of Afghanistan and Pakistan, came a migration that would reshape not just Bengal, but all of South Asia. Picture this. A man named Dev leads his cattle across the Hindu Kush mountains. He carries fire in sacred urns, recites hymns to gods whose names Indra, Agni, Varuna will echo through millennia. Most importantly, he carries the R1A1 white chromosome haplogroup that will mark Bengali Brahmins for thousands of years. Dev isn't alone. Wave after wave of Indo-Aryan speakers are moving into the subcontinent, bringing with them not just new languages and religious practices, but a revolutionary social system based on Varna, what we would later call caste. In Punjab, in Haryana, in Uttar Pradesh, these migrations often involved conflict and conquest. Archaeological evidence shows the decline of Harappan cities, the replacement of local cultural practices with Indo-Aryan ones. But Bengal was different. Here's where the genetic evidence tells a story that history books often miss. When Indo-Aryans reached Bengal, something extraordinary happened. Instead of conquest, there was conversation. Instead of replacement, there was mixing. Dr. Partha P. Majumdar, founder of the National Institute of Biomedical Genomics in Kalyani, West Bengal, has studied this phenomenon extensively. His research reveals what he calls the Bengali genetic paradox. In most of North India, Dr. Majumdar explains, Indo-Aryan genetic markers strongly dominate the landscape. But in Bengal, we see something different, a more balanced mixing of Indo-Aryan and pre-existing genetic components. The numbers tell the story. Today, 72% of West Bengali Brahmins carry the R1A1 white chromosome marker. Clear evidence of Indo-Aryan paternal ancestry. But here's the stunning part. The R2 haplogroup, ancient and local, spreads across all Bengali castes, from Brahmins to scheduled castes. Even more remarkable, when we look at autosomal DNA, the genetic material inherited from both parents. Bengali Brahmins show only slightly higher Indo-Aryan ancestry than other Bengali groups. In North India, the difference is dramatic. In Bengal, it's subtle. What does this mean? It means that when Dev and his fellow Indo-Aryans reached Bengal, they didn't just impose their culture, they negotiated it. Bengali women weren't simply conquered, they were courted. Local traditions weren't destroyed, they were transformed. The locals learned Sanskrit but kept their rice recipes. They adopted new gods but preserved old festivals. They accepted the caste system but bent it to local realities. Most importantly, they intermarried. This genetic and cultural fusion created something new, not just Indo-Aryan, not just indigenous, but uniquely Bengali. It was alchemy in action, turning diverse elements into something greater than the sum of its parts. But the story of Bengali DNA was far from over. The next chapter would bring merchants, warriors, and saints from lands beyond the Hindu Kush. The year is 1195 CE. Ahmed al-Basri adjusts his turban against the monsoon wind as his vessel approaches the port of Chittagong. He's a merchant from Busra in present-day Iraq, and he's here to trade. His ship carries silk from China, spices from the Malabar coast, and precious stones from Ceylon. But his cargo goes beyond merchandise. Ahmad also carries something he doesn't know he possesses. It's genetic heritage that will become part of Bengali ancestry for centuries. This is a story of Bengal, a region that by the medieval period had become one of the world's great commercial centers. The river Delta, with its countless waterways and natural harbors, connected Indian Ocean trade networks with Central Asian routes. And as ships from the west and innovations from the east converged here, so did people. Merchants like Ahmed, Turkish administrators, and Afghan warriors. Persian officials establishing households in Bengal's courts. They all contributed to the region's cultural development, and they contributed to the gene pool. Fast forward to the 18th century, Nader Shah, the Iranian conqueror, enters Bengal. In the middle of the battle, he pauses, looks up at the sky and says, "How could such a small place produce such a large river?" It's a comment about the mighty Ganges, but it's also a testament to Bengal's unique geography. Because the story of this region is not just about trade and cultural exchange, it's also about adaptation and resilience. The year is 1286. The Delhi Sultanate conquers Bengal. Under their rule, the region gains importance as a military outpost. Soldiers from Central Asia settle here, and with them come new cultural influences. The region's gene pool, already rich from earlier interactions, now takes on Central Asian elements. A few decades later, a new power emerges in Bengal, the Tughlaq dynasty. Their rule brings Afghan elements to the region, shaping its social and cultural landscape. Throughout these shifts, a constant thread weaves through Bengal's history. Islam. It arrives with those early traders like Ahmad al-Basri, deep roots in local culture over several centuries. What does this mean for Bengal's ancestry? Did religious change mean demographic change? Did new cultural identity come with new genetic identity? Well, that depends on your perspective. But science offers a compelling narrative. Dr. Annalaba Basu, a scientist at the Indian Statistical Institute in Calcutta, delves into this question. She explains, when we analyze Bengali genetic diversity, we find clear signatures of West Asian influence that corresponds with periods of trade and cultural exchange. These historical records blend seamlessly with scientific evidence, painting a picture of a region where cultural transformation didn't erase ancestral roots. Let's explore further. The establishment of regional sultanates in the 14th century introduces Afghan influences to Bengal. Later, the 16th century brings the Mughal period with more Central Asian and Iranian components. But throughout these changes, Islam continues to spread, gradually transforming the religious landscape. So what happened to the population's ancestry? The answer lies in a remarkable discovery. Comprehensive studies comparing Bengali populations of different faiths reveal something noteworthy. They are virtually genetically similar. This isn't just about faith. It's a testament to the region's history. Dr. Mat Metspaliu, from the Estonian Biocenter, conducted comprehensive studies of South Asian populations. Notes, if I were given the genetic profile of a Bengali person and asked to determine their background, the genetic signatures would be essentially similar. What makes this especially intriguing is the fact that Islam reached Bengal over several centuries. You'd expect multiple waves of migration to alter the genetic makeup, but that's not what the science shows. Think back to Ahmed al-Basri and his journey to Chittagong. He's a microcosm of the larger narrative. Like many before and after him, he brings cultural influences that enrich Bengal's heritage. But he's not there to change the demographics. That realization is key to understanding Bengal's story. Studies of various genetic markers show Bengali populations clustering together, distinct from other South Asian groups, but very similar to each other. This isn't just about genetics. It's about understanding how cultures evolve, how identities shift, and how places like Bengal manage to remain essentially the same despite significant changes in religion. So what does this mean for Bengal's story? It means that the cultural transformation of Bengal, one of history's most significant religious changes, is primarily cultural rather than demographic. The merchants, the soldiers, the teachers who came to Bengal, they adapted to the local culture while contributing to its evolution. The majority of Bengali people, regardless of current faith, share a common ancestry, a bond forged over millennia. They descend from the same ancient regional populations whose story began thousands of years ago. This finding adds a new layer to the rich tapestry of Bengal's history, a history marked by trade, conquest, cultural exchange, and above all, resilience. It's a story that reminds us that sometimes the most profound changes are also the most continuous. But let's go back in time to understand where our story really begins. Welcome to the land of Bengal, where the mighty Ganges meets the Bay of Bengal, and where the story of the Bengalis began thousands of years ago. The history of the Bengalis is intricately linked to the region's geography. Let's start where the physical geography of the region meets the human geography of its people. The vast delta formed by the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers serves as the cradle of Bengali civilization. This fertile region, known as the Gangetic Plain, provided the perfect setting for early settlements and eventually became the core of what we today call Bangladesh and West Bengal. The rivers weren't just lifeblood for agriculture. They were arteries of trade and cultural exchange. Communities along these waterways developed vibrant economies and served as vital links between the Bay of Bengal and the Asian interior. The region's many tributaries and canals, like an intricate web, carried not just goods, but also people and ideas. And it is through these very waterways that we will trace some of the earliest chapters of Bengali genetic history. As we stand on the beaches of Cox's Bazar or Chittagong, look east across the Bay of Bengal, and you're looking toward Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, the lands that gave Bengal some of its most intriguing genetic secrets. For thousands of years, monsoon winds have carried more than rain across these waters. They've carried people, traders, refugees, adventurers, and lovers whose genetic legacy is written in the faces of eastern Bengal. Why do some Bengalis in Rancor have eyes that seem to hold memories of Tibetan mountains? Why does a grandmother in Bagra carry genetic markers found in Burma and southern China? The answer lies in Bengal's position as a bridge between South and Southeast Asia. Meet Mangala, hypothetical Southeast Asian trader from 800 CE. Her name comes from a Burmese greeting. She represents the countless women and men who crossed the Bay of Bengal over millennia, bringing with them genetic signatures that would become part of Bengal's complex ancestry. Imagine Mangala's journey. She sets sail from a bustling port in what is now Thailand or Myanmar, driven by the monsoon winds that shift with the seasons. Her ship is laden with spices, silks, and precious stones, sought after in the markets of northern India. As her vessel navigates the Bay of Bengal, she carries with her the genetic legacy of her ancestors, who ventured into these waters long before her. When her ship reaches the Ganges Delta, Mangala steps onto the shores of what is now Bangladesh. Here, the river system transforms into a vast inland sea, dotted with islands and threaded with distributaries. It is a labyrinth of waterways, and navigating its twists and turns becomes a rite of passage for any trader. As Mangala journeys further inland, her goods become more valuable with each mile. Tropical humidity gives way to a drier, more temperate climate. And as she ascends the river, she encounters landscapes that change from lush green paddy fields to rolling hills, and eventually to the foothills of the Himalayas. Along the riverbanks, she finds thriving communities. Fishermen casting their nets into the teeming waters, farmers tending to fields that seem to stretch endlessly, and artisans crafting goods that echo the skills of their ancestors. Life here seems timeless, yet beneath the surface, there's a constant hum of trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Over the centuries, people from Southeast Asia, the Mon, Khmer, and Thai peoples, have sailed these very waters, establishing trading posts and forging alliances with local kingdoms. Some came as merchants seeking to expand their empires. Others arrived as refugees fleeing conflicts in their homeland. And some came simply because the lure of adventure was too strong to resist. As Mangala moves deeper into the heart of the Ganges Delta, she witnesses firsthand the region's unique blend of cultures and traditions. Buddhist monasteries stand beside Hindu temples and Muslim mosques, reflecting the religious diversity that has long flourished here. She sees languages intertwine, customs blend, and ideas converge, creating a rich tapestry of traditions. Fast forward from Mangala's time to today, and we find ourselves in the bustling city of Kolkata. As we walk through the city's vibrant streets, we encounter a kaleidoscope of people, languages, and traditions. Kolkata is a microcosm of Bengal itself, where the past and present converge. The city's grand colonial buildings whisper stories of the Raj, while its bustling markets and street food stalls showcase the everyday lives of its people. The air is alive with the sounds of Bengali, Hindi, Urdu, and English, reflecting the city's colonial past and its status as a hub of cultural exchange. But amidst the chaos and vibrancy, there's an underlying sense of continuity. The spirit of hospitality, the love for sweets and festivals, and the pride in their heritage remain constant threads, weaving together the diverse communities of Kolkata. So our journey through the genetic story of the Bengalis continues. To unravel the complexities of their past, we turn to the language. Like genetics, language reveals the intricate layers of a community's history. The Bengali language, with its unique script and poetic tradition, is a testament to the region's cultural richness. But it's in the loanwords and shared vocabulary that we find echoes of ancient migrations. The word for fish or rice variety in Bengali might carry subtle linguistic connections to a Southeast Asian tongue spoken centuries ago. Each word is a clue, each grammar a puzzle piece in understanding the history of Bengal. Now let's turn our attention to the science of genetics. By analyzing the DNA of individuals from different regions of Bengal, scientists have identified distinct genetic markers. Some individuals, particularly those in the eastern districts of Bangladesh, show a significant genetic signature from Southeast Asian populations. This suggests that ancient migration patterns from modern-day Myanmar, Thailand, and southern China played a crucial role in shaping the genetic makeup of eastern Bengal. This genetic connection across the Bay of Bengal adds a fascinating chapter to our understanding of Bengali history. But the story doesn't end there. The partition of India in 1947 had a profound impact on the region, causing one of the largest genetic migrations in human history. Over a span of just a few years, millions of people crossed the newly drawn border between East and West Bengal, leaving behind homes and ancestral lands that had been part of their cultural landscape for generations. This sudden upheaval led to a dramatic mixing of genetic lineages, forever altering the genetic landscape of the region. In essence, the partition of Bengal was a dramatic chapter in the region, as history that significantly impacted the genetic makeup of the Bengali people. The forced migration of millions across the newly established border resulted in a rapid and unprecedented mixing of genetic lineages. As communities were uprooted and resettled, they brought with them the genetic stories of their ancestors, creating a complex tapestry of ancestry among the Bengalis. Today, the genetic legacy of the Bengalis stands as a testament to their resilience and adaptability. Despite the challenges of partition and the upheavals of history, the fundamental unity of their genetic heritage remains intact. Whether in the bustling streets of Calcutta or the tranquil villages of the countryside, the Bengalis carry within them the echoes of ancient seafarers, the whispers of Himalayan traders, and the resilience of generations past. Their genetic story is a reminder of the intricate connections that bind us all and the enduring spirit of humanity in the face of historical currents. The story of the Bengalis is a testament to the power of migration and the beauty of cultural exchange. From the ancient traders of Southeast Asia to the modern-day diaspora, the Bengalis have embraced the world, and in turn, the world has embraced them. And so our journey ends where it began, on the banks of the Ganges, where the ancient and the modern converge. Here in the heart of Bengal, the story of the Bengalis lives on. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the genetic story of the Bengalis.